Okay, Dan, welcome back. One Way Ratchet. It's now April, actually, isn't it?
April Fools.
April Fool's Day. Good to
Jokes
see
on you,
you.
people. Jokes on you.
Jokes on you if you're
We're back.
listening. Good to see you. It's been a very long time, and that's my fault. To say under the weather is an understatement.
Under the weather in the way that one gets rolled by a semi truck.
I mean, yeah, I felt like I've been dragged behind an 18-wheeler halfway across the country. I had the flu and was like in bed for 5 or 6 days, like basically couldn't get out of bed.
Now,
as sick as I've ever been by
I
far.
was going to say, I wasn't even that sick during COVID.
Yeah.
This had to be the worst. I mean, you didn't get out of bed for the entire week.
I mean, I had COVID probably 4 or 5 times. It was never even 1/100th of what this was. This was influenza B. And I'm still like, I still have, I can't taste anything, can't smell anything, like no sense of taste or smell. Still bad cough, like, and I'm like 10 days past the onset. So, I mean, it was like,
oh man,
it was so grim. You know, the good news is the timing was all right. Like, you know, work wise, it was complicated, but I wasn't on like a vacation or something. You know what I mean? Like that.
Oh yeah. No, you can lose work days. You can't lose vacation days.
No,
like
no.
That.
I mean, if I'd been like on, you know, we're going to Italy next fall with my parents. Like I was just thinking, thank God I'm not in Italy right now, or even like at the Sphere in Vegas in a few months, in a next month, you know. So, you know, it landed in a decent time. If there's ever a good time to do it, you know.
Well,
fine
I got to tell you, it wasn't so great for the pod. You know, you were sorely missed last week. Got a ton of inquiries from some concerned fans,
concerned listeners. Where is he? Where is he?
Thought maybe you pulled a Tim Ratliff and just went off the grid a little bit. And I flew solo last week, which was very odd. I'm
sure you held it down. I listened to some. It sounded great.
No, it was me droning on. It's like I realize how much I rely on you for all the interaction and the intro and just setting things up, keeping the train on tracks.
The sound of one hand clapping.
Or the sound of Lachlan's hand doing something.
Oh boy, the hand of God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Lots to talk about.
So much to get into.
We are in now episode 7 of 8 seasons, or 8 episodes. So we're in the penultimate episode. Lots to talk about. Man, there are haters out there. People hate this episode. People hate the show. I still love it.
Give me your hot take. Give me your sort of quick take on the last one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think it was episode 2 where I started to realize like this is his pacing and it's fine. And it's a turn of the Ratchet. And by the way, it's great because every other show on TV like ramps up to 11 every episode and then like cleans the slate and then starts over. And there's just such an art in the slow ramp up. I think I've loved it. Are there things that are repetitive? Yeah, but I actually think it's all character building, and now we're starting to get some big payoffs. I'm sure you have some insights. I'm sure you have some hot takes and nits to pick. But it's a beautifully shot show. What's that?
Yeah. Well, it's just, what was your level of angst or discomfort watching this last one?
Yeah, I mean, high, and also the episode prior, you know, the sex scene, recalled sex scene with the brothers and what goes on. That was like, oh my God, this is unlike anything I've seen before and hope to never see again.
You got that right.
This episode, I was really like keyed up for, in particular, 2 things. One was the Rick Hatchett, Jim Hollinger meeting, and 2 was the Gary, Greg, Belinda confrontation. And I actually, and you can ask my wife this, before Gary and Belinda met, I called it. I said, I bet he's bringing her in to actually fund her spa. And so I was like, no way. And I was like, boom. When it happened, I felt vindicated. I felt pretty excited that I called it.
Yeah. Well, good call. Excellent call on that. Now there's still time for We'll see if Gary's got a killer instinct. The show seems to think he does.
Right.
Spoiler alert for season 2, but
right.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm with you. I'm fully invested in the pacing, and I get it.
Yep.
You want more to happen, and it does feel, it feels a little bit gratuitous, I think, in the few of the plot lines. I don't need to see Tim dry swallow another pill and just be totally out to lunch
or have a daydream about shooting himself and his family again. He's had like 4 of them.
Do we need another gunshot to the head image?
Yeah, probably not.
No,
probably not.
Okay, so I think, yeah, I would take issue at sort of the pacing of some of these stories, but I think more than anything, though, it kind of gets back to this whole the absurdity of caring too much about any of these online theories,
right?
Because they just never really play out. The storylines are so much more linear.
Yeah, that's right.
In a way, we should just. Let's not be fooled again, people. On season 4, let's not start doing this mystery box of a season thing, because it isn't that. I mean, the Rick story. I guess let's just start in the recap.
Let's get into it.
Let's just start with Rick, if you don't mind, because
of course,
that was the one where, my God, has the show been building to some kind of payoff,
right?
And it landed with such a whimper, right? There wasn't a gigantic, cathartic aha. Either gunshot to the head. Rick apparently does not have the killer instinct, thank God, because nobody wanted that to happen.
That's right.
And I think there's a little bit of the commentary on sort of the nature of revenge. It doesn't, right? It's never going to satisfy you. It's the quintessential pouring a glass of poison for yourself, right?
Yep.
Because this guy, his, the focus of his revenge was clueless, like totally oblivious.
Right.
Had no idea, but barely even remembered the woman's name, right? His mother's name.
Yeah.
So he's just, it's like it's like the perfect little contrast. The thing that's been you have us obsessing over means sort of nothing to the other person.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I thought that scene was interesting. I thought the actor who plays Hollinger, who apparently is from The Leftovers,
he played he was the dad in The Leftovers.
Yeah, he's the dad in The Leftovers. Scott Glenn. I thought that was I loved that scene. The tension is building on the couch. Yeah. They keep focusing on Jim Hollinger and Rick sort of staring at each other, making eyes at one another. and then
right.
That scene, man, is incredible. Like totally like zero preparation. They go in and they're just like making it up as they go along. They're calling each other the wrong name. He has no idea what video, what movies to cite. It's just amazing. He can't even say what movies he's made.
It's honestly, it's the most poorly planned plot I've ever seen, right?
Which I absolutely love.
Spend a little time getting your story straight.
And I loved that. I thought it was so good. And it was like these jackasses have stumbled into this thing. And yet we know he's got the gun and the stakes are high. So it's this really like on the surface level sort of comedic thing. And there's this simmering sort of inherent doom that's lurking, and then they go off to the office, and that I thought that was a terrific scene. Like I loved it. I thought it built suspense so well, and actually it felt totally realistic. The fact that this is something that Rick has been harboring for his whole life, and he's built it up in his head to be this final big reckoning. And the guy's like, I have no idea. Like the guy has no idea, almost no recollection, no sense of, oh my God, yeah, this has been something I've been hiding my whole life. And I actually loved that. And I loved that he sort of didn't hit him and he didn't shoot him, but then he just like flips his chair over, which was a great, move.
Well, it was very humanizing. Right, because it wasn't this overly dramatic speech that was like perfect and like landed, and you could just see you were making an impact on this guy who's breaking down with regret and guilt. No, Rick didn't really know what to do. He was quite obviously he was struggling in the moment to even find the courage to. He needed a few stiff drinks to muster up the courage to say anything. And that's exactly how it would go.
That's exactly right. I do wonder, is there a chance that we find out a little more, like, in fact, Jim actually is his father? One of the things we called after the first episode, Jim's his dad. Is there any way that happens? Probably not.
No.
But I'm still like holding out that might be a thing. But you're right. Like, these stories tend to be more linear and like on their face, you get what you see is what you get. And so I don't know if we're going to get that, but certainly it's not over. Like, they, where's Rick going back to? He's going back to the White Lotus, which is the hotel that they own. So it's not like it's not like this story's over.
This all gets back to the worst plot ever. I'm sorry, right. the worst plan ever.
That's
worst
right.
plan. Okay, guys, spend 5 minutes. Hit the old Google machine. Have a name or two of a movie for this actress, right? For sure.
Right.
Like, that's not hard.
So funny.
Have something prepared. It was so, it bothered me, right? It was like, because it's possible, but I just don't think you go into this place with 2 armed bodyguards to scam these very powerful people.
That's right.
Without 5 minutes of prep.
Of like, okay, here's what you're going to say.
Right. Yeah. Here's what you're going to say. Here's
even less prep than our podcast, actually.
Which is shocking to think, which, by the way, I'm going to apologize if I know it's a lame to be potting outside, but, and there's background noise, but, hopefully I'm going to work at it in post. Remove the background noise if possible.
I love it.
Okay. So, but the other thing though, the second part though, of the Rick story, as bad as that plan was, okay, and as painful in many ways, and awkward to watch, but I still love that. I mean, the awkward moments are always great. They're uncomfortable to watch it. I love that stuff.
That's right.
Give me more of Frank and Rick unleashed on the world, please.
Oh my God.
Could I beg, please, Mike White, because I know you're listening, a spinoff, the continuing adventures of Frank and Rick.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's a hit show.
Yeah. Like a buddy show, buddy movie.
A rom-com.
They are unbelievable. You feel the excitement when they leave that meeting and they're like, night on the town, Bangkok, all bets are off. Obviously Frank no longer sober. Just absolutely going for it. And we get a couple glimpses into it. Interestingly, there's that moment where they're all sitting in some club and it sort of zooms in on Rick's face and it's like the happiest he's looked the whole series, like sort of at peace, it's an interesting moment.
Yeah, right. And I'm of course now that just he's at maximum risk now at this point.
Right.
If he is getting a little closure by not killing this guy, by having the upper hand, having the power, choosing not to use it.
Yep.
Because and for all the spiritual drama, I mean, the whole show is sort of bookmarked with the Buddhist monk talking about the nature of violence and how it's like a violence to yourself, and that's like the backdrop to the whole thing. And it's we're all happy to see Rick leave the guy, right? Obviously. But now I just think, holy crap, he's still got the bodyguards. They know where they are. They know where he's going back to.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll get back to, I think at the end we should have a little death watch.
Death watch, yeah. And we got a lot of options. Yeah. So a couple other things we discover in this episode, of course, the Russians are the ones who committed the heist at the beginning.
Another linear, let's not do 3-dimensional chess on this. Yeah. As soon as this was pretty straightforward.
And you called it.
Valentine was involved from the jump.
You called it. And we see both the flashback of the robbery where he recognizes Vlad. And then we also see when Lori is in bed with the other Russian, we see she goes in the back room and sees all the jewels just like laid out on the table.
Hey, it's good to know that the hot Russian dude that you just took down, he's immediately asking for payment.
Oh my God.
He takes Venmo, PayPal,
Cash App.
Cash App.
So good, man. I love that.
Well,
I love that.
But another one, I got to say, not only was it linear and straightforward and not 3-dimensional chess, where is this symbolic choker, snake, necklace going to mean something? No, it was just a robbery. And, but also poorly planned because, hey, Vlad, you're pretty recognizable, dude. You're like a 6'6"
and he's got
Russian
a mask
dude.
that's this big.
He's wearing a COVID era mask. Meanwhile, the other guy,
forget his name,
yeah, Alexei, I think. He's fully. He put a little thought into it. He's hooded. He's fully masked and glassed.
Yeah.
I mean, Vlad, how? I think they're pretty recognizable men about town and clearly associated with Valentine. So I don't know. That just, I thought that was a little funny.
Yeah. So, I've started to really dislike Mook because I feel like she's sort of, and of course we see this discovery of the heist through Gaitok's eyes. He's sort of realizing it in real time as he sees the Russians and he sees them together and he's flashing back. And then it's obviously confirmed later when Laurie sees all the jewels on the night table. But, I feel like really bad for Gaitok. I think, Mook is like all about wanting to push him into violence and ambition and all of these things. And, up until this episode, I really liked them together. And now I'm like, run the other way, Gaitok. Like, run the other way.
Right. 100%. But maybe a little of that, be careful what you wish for.
Yep.
From his perspective. Yeah. Yes. And this constant tension between Buddhism and Western culture, right?
That's right.
And she's fully Westernized. I mean, she's like her point of view is the Saxon American ideal pursuing,
that's right?
And that's violence, embracing the violence.
Yeah.
What you say, it's natural.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a pacifist, I think. And he's a Buddhist. He doesn't want to do any harm.
Yeah.
But we'll see, because yet he's feeling the pressure.
Right.
And he still wants to impress her. I mean, that's not going away.
Okay, so God, so much to unpack in this episode. We get the party at Gary's, which is great for two reasons. One, it's the ultimate confrontation between Belinda and Gary, which has been building.
Yes, finally we get that.
Right. And the other is the amazing Saxon Chloe what's Rick's wife's name? Chelsea, our girlfriend. Saxon Chloe Chelsea like sex fantasy with Gary walking in.
I mean that's now back-to-back episodes with the three of them talking, and just the facial work, the expressions.
It's incredible.
It's unbelievable. Those three have something going on just talking about sex. And
it's
bizarre,
so good.
Three-way cut.
It's so good.
Just incredible.
It's really incredible. And that, Saxon is actually incredible in this episode. I think he's
killing the season.
I think it's like his best episode.
My God.
It's so good. It's a little more nuanced than the others because there's like
you see a different side of him.
Yeah, he's douchey, but he's also he's got some layers. That scene where he pulls his dad in and he's like, "This is all I have. Like, tell me it's okay." And Tim Ratliff is like, "It's okay."
He said, "It's okay."
It's okay. Right. I mean, holy crap. But those two moments are incredible, and then you have the Victoria Ratliff just absolutely on fire. I think Parker Posey wins the series probably, just in terms of every second of screen time is an absolute grand slam home run.
Every line is a banger.
What did she say about the weird middle age? Why are you with this weird middle-aged white guy? I mean, it's like so good. It's so good and so funny. And the thing about her is she is like unapologetically who she is. Everyone else is like trying to be something they're not, or trying to have like different faces for different people. She is like, what you see is what you get. It's ugly as hell and it's offensive. And deeply, incredibly shallow and pretty awful, but like at least she is who she is, like to her core, and that's somewhat refreshing in this world.
Absolutely. Well, curious, where do you think this is all going with Tim? I mean, this, the spiraling out of control, all the suicide, now the murder suicide, now it just keeps ratcheting up,
right?
Do you think there is a way to pull out of this nosedive for him? Or is this a linear storyline he's obviously going to take somebody in that family is going to die purposefully or accidentally at this point.
That's a great question. I actually did some online looking last night at just like theories and stuff, and there's a lot out there about this. I mean, listen, I think if this is the real world and the feds have like raided your office, I think there's like no way you get out of it. And I'm actually, I have to say, I'm most looking forward to seeing how the Ratliff situation wraps up. Like of all the situations, because it's like, okay, here are some options. Option one, you know, he confesses to his family that the shit's real. He's losing everything. And they just like go back and he faces arrest and like just sort of owns it and it's okay. And, you know, he like, that's where he lands. Option two, same thing. They find out, he tells his family and they like go on the run. I don't think that's likely. Three,
we know that they're not equipped for it.
Right.
The whole family. Right.
Thing three is like, is there a world in which like the charges are dropped or he strikes a deal and can like get out somehow?
It happens all the time.
Maybe. Thing four is the murder suicide, but I don't think that fourth one is likely. Like he's not going to take out his whole family. I just don't think he is. But you know, it's interesting though. He's pretty persistent about trying to kill himself. Like in every one of the last 3 episodes, he's like got the gun or he's searching for the gun. Now, of course, the gun's gone. But he does have, you know, and is this where the poison fruit comes in? Is this where like ODing on the pills comes in?
Yes.
You know, those are all options on the table, but it's funny because the other storylines have started to like close themselves down or like close themselves off. So there's pretty, you know, with Belinda and Gary, it's sort of like it feels like there's just like one way that it's going to resolve itself, or maybe two. With Gaitok, like he's probably going to take some sort of action to like prove that he's brave and turn these guys in. With Rick and Jim, it's probably going to come down heavy on Jim or on Rick in some way. I don't know what way. But with the Ratliffs, it's like I actually don't know. Like I can't predict. Do you have thoughts?
Yeah, well, did you happen to watch the trailer?
I haven't watched the trailer. No.
Okay, good. All right. I would encourage everyone to not watch the trailer. I think I made the mistake of doing it. I decided to go all in on everything, so I decided to watch them, and I'm really bummed I did because to me it gave away way too much on where some of this is going, and so a lot of this is on point of what you're saying. So I'm kind of armed with that foresight, but yeah, I think they've spent way too much time, including, by the way, like the closing shot has been on Tim Ratliff, I think, like half the times, including this past episode. And it's just there's just more and more and more. It feels like by far the biggest story, and it has to end in tragedy, right? Again, just being linear.
Yeah.
Like this is not rocket science, and just given what happened between Lachlan and Saxon, given you know what's happening with Tim, and all these increasingly violent suicide images that it's murder suicide. Now, you know, now with like, it was just every time that there's one more dead body.
That's right.
So
yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? It's one more person in the family each time.
Yes. And if he's already in that drug-addled place of that, this is the only way out. I don't see, you know, with one more episode to go and only being part of the show, how this is going to go anywhere else. But
so do you think he's the body that's floating in scene 1, episode 1?
I mean, I would.
Like if you have to put money down on a body, is it?
I think
smart money with
he's
Tim?
Absolutely the most logical, which means it's not going to be him in this universe. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but what do you think about freaking Lachlan and Piper and that whole also great face work by Piper. In this episode.
Yeah, incredible. And you know, so the setting for them is, of course, you know, their mom is like, look, I will endorse this if you go spend a night there and still want to do it. by the way, great mom instincts, because what does Piper find out? Like, I actually don't like this. Like, you can tell that it's not for her. She's uncomfortable. She doesn't like, like her mom, you know, as much as she wants to be different from her family, like her mom, like she's not built for being uncomfortable, you know, and she's sleeping on this narrow bed, eating this food, like outdoors, you know, meditating all day. I think the idea of it's appealing, but the reality isn't. And I got to say, like, I give Victoria Ratliff some props. Like, she knows her kid. And she's like, okay, you go do a day. And if you still want to do it, I'll endorse it. And the daughter's like, well, actually, I don't think I do. Now, the flip, of course, is Lachlan seems all in. Now, is he all in because he wants to sort of be with Piper, or is he all in because he actually is all in? And that's something I'm not sure we know enough about yet to make a determination.
No, true, but he's giving us some clues. I mean, he seems aware, self-aware of his own darkness, which that's evolved, right? That's Saxon is so Saxon was see no evil. Getting back to sort of the three monkeys, right? And Saxon doesn't want to see anything. You know, he's that classic, like, if I'm not a success, I'm nothing. I'm not cut out for this world, right? The whole thing. And I don't think he wants to see like anything negative about his dad, and doesn't want to see that his brother is, you know, deeply, you know, sexually confused, and maybe Saxon is too.
Yeah.
But Lachlan is speak no evil, which is interesting to me, because when he articulated his darkness, and then when he told Piper that he's basically, I think he essentially told her he's either in love with her or obsessed with her.
Yeah, that's right.
In so many words, and you know it from her instant reaction, and that's what I meant, like, with some of the face work that she's doing, is she's so sweet. You know, she's got this wide-eyed innocence about her, which is really sweet, right? And as soon as he said that, you could just see her sort of her whole effect go blank.
That's right.
Like when in the detective movie, when they open the closet and they see that the person's been this obsessed, you know, shrine to the you know what I mean, with the newspaper clippings and the red circles and shit. It was kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
Like where it was clear to her, like, oh no, this is awful.
Right. Yeah. And so, you know, so that has complicated their story, but it's also, again, it's very real. Like, it feels very realistic. It feels very real to me. It's like, you have this girl, the middle of three siblings, the only girl who, like, wants to make her own way. She's finishing college, which, you know, for a lot of people, that's a really hard time. Like, you're finishing college, all of a sudden you're out in the world, and like, what do you do with your life? And she's looking for guidance and direction and answers. She's obviously not getting it from her parents, and so she thinks she's going to find it here, and then comes to the realization that it's not for her. Oh, and by the way, like, my younger brother's obsessed with me. Like, this is a lot to land on her. You know, and you know, I wonder also, I wonder what Lachlan's going to end up doing. I mean, you know, is he actually going to want to stay? Maybe he's the one who ends up dead. I don't know. Maybe he's the one who ends up dead.
Got into this a little bit last episode, Solo. This whole Pied Piper, the naming of, there's so many of the characters. Okay, Piper and Ratliff and Lachlan Lake. I don't know. And, you know, he's wearing that awesome shirt from the boat where it's like the crocodile, you know, floating.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of these teasing. There's a lot. If it ends up being him, in retrospect, it'll be obvious, but there's certainly a lot of teasing about Lachlan.
And, okay, if it's him, is it accidental or intentional?
Yeah, good. Exactly.
Yeah.
Good question. That's, hey, with one up, I mean, look, it's incredible to me that we're going to know all the answers to all these things next week.
I know. And then, I mean, that's going to be a great episode to sort of be like, oh my God, like, this is what happened and this is what didn't happen. And to really, like, unpack it in retrospect and hindsight.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, it's funny because while the stories are linear, the deaths are always goofy. The deaths are goofy. Like, the Armand death is an accident shortly after he's just taken a shit in the guy's luggage. Like, amazing and goofy, right? In the second season, you know, there's the shooting on the boat, all the high end gays, and then Tanya falls and hits her head and drowns. Like super goofy, somewhat unintentional, certainly not premeditated. So if we're thinking that he's going to continue that thread of goofy and like senseless death, I mean, it could be any manner of things. It could be, any manner of things.
Well, we know there's a shootout. We know there's a floating body. We know there's a shootout. We don't know that those are necessarily connected. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, going back to the party, what did you think of GregGary's offer to Belinda?
I thought, okay, a couple things. First, I thought the amount was low.
Lowball.
Given
total
what
lowball.
Given what he's worth.
Given that boat.
Yeah.
What does he pay with the staff on his boat, for example, annually?
Like,
right?
Probably like $100K a month.
Right.
So I think it was a lowball offer, but I do think it was a sincere offer, and that like he's willing to do it. Obviously, what he wants out of it is her silence. I sort of agree with Zion. I'm like, take the money and run.
Girl,
like,
take the money.
Right.
No, counter.
Yeah, counter.
It would be insulting not to counter, right?
Yeah.
Also, by the way, Belinda, let's not overthink this.
Right.
Tanya was about to do a deal with you. Tanya offered to back you.
Right.
You know that deep down in her heart of hearts, she would want this. Tanya would want some of her money to go to Belinda.
And Gary says that. Gary says that.
Was like one of the that was like one of the better arguments, right? Or the strongest.
I actually I sort of liked Gary in this episode. I was like, you know what?
Finally, we're getting something from him.
He's trying to make good. Yeah, he's protecting himself, but like he's moved on. He's got this new life. I mean, obviously, if he was responsible for Tanya's death, which I assume he is, he's a pretty despicable character. Having said that, like he's trying to make good. He's trying to salvage something, and you know, trying to protect himself too.
Yeah,
but you know, he's. I thought this was like sort of a nice scene, and I think Belinda would be crazy not to take the money. I think she should counter and get 10x of what he offered.
10x. You put $1 million on the table, you have a deal.
Right.
That is a deal. There's no one who doesn't take that offer.
That's right. I
mean, it's just it seemed odd. Okay. Another question for you. Did you buy the whole cuck story that Chelsea? I'm sorry, that Chloe rather was telling Saxon?
Do you mean did I actually think that Gary said that?
Did he sincerely want to have this experience of like being cucked and then just walking in on it or whatever, or was that, or what I mean, or was that an excuse to get him to stay, to have some other kind of confrontation with him, maybe do some violence?
Yeah. Well, so I actually think it's my take is it's real, because he's trying to avoid violence. Like it seems like the whole thing with Belinda was set up so that he can, like, I believed him when he's like, I just want to live my life in peace and not be bothered with all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to offer you money. So like, why would he then also like kill an American kid? You know what I mean? I think there was some truth to it, or maybe he wants to do it so he can confront him, but I don't think he's like, oh, I'm gonna also take out. I mean, he's way more vulnerable with Belinda, and he's suggesting that he doesn't want to kill her, at least not as a first pass. So for me, it would be a big stretch to think like, oh, this guy, and it actually wasn't even him, it was the guy's brother, hooked up with Chloe, and now I'm going to kill the kid. Like, that just doesn't.
Actually, I think we're meant to believe, that she was with both. And I think they did show that quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think it is interesting that when they show up, when Timothy, Victoria, and Saxon show up, the first thing Chloe says is, "Where's your brother?"
Yeah.
That's interesting. Like, trying to get both of them up there. But, he seems like he just wants to be under the radar at this point. and murdering an American kid or two in Thailand, like that is the opposite of staying under the radar. So I don't know. I guess I believed it. What about you?
Well, yeah, it's just I'm just thinking back to the previous episode when Gary hatched the plan for this party, and he really wanted her to have the boys come over.
Yeah.
And asked her to help him with something.
Yeah.
And I guess it could be, if we're taking this, what they're saying at face value, and again, the more linear approach.
Yeah.
Then maybe that was his way of saying, okay, yeah, this is my thing. This is my, this is what gets me off sexually. It's hard for me to say, but I'm finally being open about it. Now this is opening because there's clearly, hey, she hooked up with these hot young dudes. They're in town. Okay, I need you to help me out with something. I mean, so okay, that's the Occam's razor. That's the more obvious answer, and it's a comprehensive answer. So it's probably the real answer. Because also, when he said he wanted to have a few people over, or whatever he said, I didn't expect quite a party like that with that many people.
Yeah,
to me,
it's a huge party.
I instant danger. That was like, okay, they're having a few people over. Like, okay, someone's going to get hurt. This was more. There was really no reason for the Saxon and Lachlan to come to this party if all he wanted to do was get Belinda there to buy her off.
Right.
I mean, the two were just completely separate. But
that's
I guess for him, hey, as they say, feed two birds with one scone. He can do both. He can buy himself some peace of mind, and finally get off on this sort of cuck. Oedipal, whatever fantasy is in his that he's been wrestling with. That's quite a night.
I love Chelsea and Chloe's reaction to like this story. Chloe's telling it. Chelsea's like, "Oh, what did she say about his mom?
It's like every boy's dream.
It's every boy's dream. You'll make a little kid so happy." Like what? It's the most bananas thing. It's so good.
Give me her quick little like excited, like little facial, like the way her eyes kind of bug a little, and she's like nodding her head. It's just so good. Oh, I love her.
She's the best. Like, what's going to happen to her
this year?
Right.
Like seriously, I mean, standout. She's a standout. She's now a star in the making.
Yeah,
no question. So is Saxon.
Yeah,
right. I've really seen his work before. I think Piper's doing great work. I mean, where do you look? Sam Rockwell is going to win a fucking Emmy for his 10 minutes of screen time. I mean,
he's incredible.
He's incredible everywhere you look.
Did you know he's married to Bib, that one of the three friends?
No, really?
Yeah, in real life, he's married to the one from Texas.
To Kate.
To Kate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's married to Kate in real life.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and good segue then.
Apparently what I heard is he was there with her like as a +1 filming, and they basically like wrote in this part for him or something. Who knows if that's true, but that's what I heard.
Oh, well, that's it. I just believe that inherently because there really is no the plot necessity to have this like friend. Like you could have done the exact same thing with just Rick.
Right. Rick could have pretended to be the producer. Yeah, exactly.
It's cleaner. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, now good segue though. Speaking of The Girls Gone Wild.
Yep.
Another one, frankly, that had a lot. This one we always kind of knew. It wasn't so really connected with the others so much. But again, it's just sort of fizzling out in some way.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you're saying these three girls are going to get nasty, and by the end of the trip, they're going to hate each other. Oh, that's not exactly. That's not a big reveal. That was guaranteed. That was locked in from the beginning. So we're seeing it play out. I don't sense there's going to be anything particularly shocking about it. I don't sense that any one of these three is in physical harm, which means each one is likely to die. Like going back to the how silly the deaths are. But you know what I mean? Like I just felt like there's just nothing really there.
Yeah.
Am I missing something?
Yeah. No. I think so. Why are they in there? I think part of it is to like examine female friendship in this case. I think part of it is to look at like again, it's just another way to show Americans abroad being how they are. So I think those are all good reasons. I think there's this this sense of like none of them actually has like a great life or setup, and they're all deeply flawed. Those are all interesting things, but you can't, not everyone can be the main storyline, right? And so it's enough that it's not like I'm not quite yet at the point where like, oh, when it's on them, I'm like totally bored, but I'm getting there. I'm sort of like, that's the thing I'm least interested in, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm with you. You're right though. Okay. So you're right in all that. And they there's also this juxtaposition, I think, that goes back to the beginning with the political thing about Kate being a Trump supporter, there being this moral superiority vibe going on at that dinner. And it turns out that it's the morality. You take the political leaning out of it, it doesn't make you a moral or better person. They're all three shitty people for various reasons. Maybe not Lori so much, but flawed. And I guess when the knives came out and they started just being real open about each other and what they see in each other, and how Lori's like permanently disappointed. Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to what they were all saying to each other. And
that's right.
Was Jacqueline flirty with Kate's husband at her wedding? Probably. I mean, we would certainly line up with her seeking male attention always. And so I think, I don't know, maybe there's a commentary about friendships actually being more open and honest with each other, right? There's not this fakey, perfect Instagram, aren't we awesome world. That's not real. That's not
well. And I think there's a thread of like people don't actually change, and like the things that they make some references throughout to like, oh, this is the same way it was when we were in high school. Oh, it's the same thing that happened at your wedding 15 years ago. Like people don't actually change, and I think that's sort of a theme in the Mike Whiteverse is there's no great epiphanies. Like characters who are ugly stay ugly. Characters who are good probably die because they're good. And that's like, to me, that seems like a real thread of all of this, like of the whole series across 3 seasons is like people don't actually change. There are very few big epiphanies. And there's just like a lot of ugliness, but it's not dark though. It's like almost, I mean, it's dark. It's really dark, obviously, but it's also like this dark comedy that is just so brilliantly written. And I mean, I can't get enough. I absolutely love it. So there's a lot of haters, especially this season. I think they're wrong. I think it's a great show.
Curious, the haters, the real critics. What is better out there? What would they rather be watching these days?
Right. It's a great,
I don't know. I always question. Right. It's not. Hey, it's what we got, and it's still pretty damn good. And we can be honest. I think you and I are both very clear about it's not perfect, and we can talk about that. But my God, I'll still take an hour of it. Please give me more.
And is the final episode is coming up Sunday, right?
Yep.
And is it a Sunday longer? Night?
I don't know.
Is it longer than normal?
I think it's got to be. I think even this last one was just like a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since now this is our last chance to make predictions here, and just get into it.
Right.
Will there be a monkey uprising of any kind? Do you think?
Monkey shootout. The gun is now accounted for.
Yep.
I'm going to say no monkey shootout.
No monkey shootout. What is?
How about you? What do you think?
I think that because in the last 2 episodes there have been almost no teasers to it, no little breadcrumbs. Then I think it's a lot less likely than how I thought of it before. I think they're also just showing fewer monkeys. The little cutscenes and all that kind of gotten away from it.
Yeah, that's right.
But again, don't watch the trailer.
Right. Okay, so we know there is a shootout. My prediction is that some version of Gaitok, the bodyguards, and the Russian thieves. That's my prediction.
Yes, that's the most logical way that there's gunshots. I mean,
don't get me wrong. If we have a monkey shootout, I will be as excited as anybody. But
well, then the T-shirts go to press.
I know.
We call the monkey shootout.
I will order that T-shirt Monday morning. I think, though, it's probably unlikely. I think it's like some version of Gaitok Russians and the bodyguards, Jim Hollinger's bodyguards.
Yeah, well, so that again, back to the most poorly planned heist or caper of all time. They know where you're staying. They know who you are. They have all your information from your reservation, like your personal info. So whether it's today or down the road, you've threatened a guy who has armed bodyguards. Like this is not. This doesn't just go away.
Right.
Okay. So yes, to me that seems like that has to be how there's gunfire at the resort. Is through those bodyguards.
Right, because it's like, who has the guns? Well, now Gaitok does, and the bodyguards do,
yeah.
and Rick doesn't even have one anymore. He threw his in the trash.
Yeah, and I don't see Gaitok just opening up on a crowd of people or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question: are we going to get any closure on the Kate to Parker Posey weird vibe at breakfast?
So I did read something on. Yeah, I did read something online that actually was intriguing and lines up. And here's what it was.
Yeah.
Is Kate is going to be the one to find out through whatever friend she was at the, baby shower with about the Ratliff's life being turned upside down.
That's it.
Because presumably... Because presumably, like, this is now a news story in the U.S. Somehow they've avoided it because they're on this like digital detox. But Kate will, text her friend and say, "Oh, you'll never guess who I saw. Yeah, I saw Victoria Ratliff," and the woman will be like, "Oh my God, did you hear what's happening to them?" And so then, I don't think that Kate is gonna like break the news to the Ratliff family herself, but I do think there will be some sort of thing with that.
Yeah, that's okay. That's
otherwise,
really smart.
Why would it be in there?
Yeah, exactly. That's really smart. You also see, as you're saying that, I just was thinking of I think at least twice that we see Kate on the phone. She's clearly not in the digital detox. She is connected back to the U.S. So that's right. That's a great shout. Okay, I like that.
So I think that'll come back somehow. But again, I don't think Kate's gonna like find out and then go up to the Ratliffs and be like, "Oh, I heard your life is falling apart."
Do you think? Okay, so on that note, do you think will the financial blow up? Will that become public information to the Ratliffs? Meaning, is that gonna are the people gonna find out?
The family?
Yeah,
I think they have to. I
don't. Right. It would be after this amount of buildup.
Yeah.
For this, the shocking, the learning this about Tim, who's lionized, larger than life. He's a Boy Scout. Everyone looks up to him, pillar of the community, blah, blah, blah. Right. Without that coming to light, even if it's just for a moment before someone's life ends, right?
That's right. That's right.
It's got, that I feel like that hiding behind this drug-addled, haze that it's not there. Like that can't keep going. Obviously.
No, I think that has to happen, and I don't know how it will. But maybe, maybe what it could be. It could be like Saxon is on the Saxon is deeply concerned that something's going on. Maybe it's Saxon gets his phone back and has like 7,000 texts and gets alerted to it and then confronts everybody about it.
Yeah, that's another great shout. And by the way, that might be the least realistic aspect to this entire season that you just hit right on the head. Knowing Saxon as we do, 0% chance that he maintains his digital detox.
Right.
0%.
Right. Totally.
Saxon couldn't go for like a 4-floor elevator ride without checking his phone. Right. I mean, By the way, so is plenty of people we know. But given his dad's weird behavior, given how concerned he is, right? He is so concerned that he's confronted his dad multiple times now.
Yeah. So I think that to me is the most likely path to this, which will involve then some big family blow up, and maybe it's a suicide of one of them, or maybe it's we see one body, so and we see one body, and Tim Ratliff doesn't have a gun anymore, so is he going to do it another way? Is he going to kill himself? I almost think that's like too obvious. But I almost wonder, is it like, does this come okay, I'm going to throw out a possibility, and it could be completely wrong, but here's my prediction. And this is not based on anything I've read. This is just like thinking through it. Saxon finds out. Saxon can't put up with it anymore, gets his phone back. It's not like their phones are like forbid. I mean, he can get his phone back. He could
go to the front desk and get his phone. Right.
He gets his phone back. He finds out there's a huge confrontation with the family. He brings everybody together and does this confrontation. Meanwhile, Lachlan has killed himself somehow. And the realization that, so like they think the worst thing has happened. Their dad has, committed all this financial crime, and they're going to be, their life as they know it is over. But then all of a sudden they discover that like Lachlan has killed himself, and they realize like, oh, that thing that we thought was the worst thing ever actually just got worse. Like it diverts their attention. So we don't actually get closure on what's going to happen in the wake of the financial crimes, because they're like pulled in the direction of this like tragic death. That's a prediction.
That is so good.
Come true, but I can just see that happening.
Have you submitted any scripts to Mike White? Dude,
no, but once he hears this, I'm sure I'll get a phone call shortly.
It's been well established on the pod. You are something of a writer yourself, and you write every morning. And I think you have a real fucking knack for this. I think you could be writing scripts for season 4. In fact, I think that's what one way Ratchet. This is what's going to take us to the upper echelons of Hollywood. Okay. Season 4 brought to you by One Way Ratchet.
One Way Ratchet. I love it. I love it so much.
Okay, I know. In closing,
I don't know. I just think that that's a
dude, I think that is
unfolding
so
of things that feels like it could be legit.
Well, there's absolutely in one of the versions of whatever universe, whatever parallel universes there are running the show going into the finale. That is exactly how it plays out in several of those timelines. Yeah. Because that is perfect. And it really is like that. Like what matters, right?
Right.
And it's smashing this like Western and Americanized stuff. They're like, oh, success. It's like, oh, how do people perceive me? It's like the only thing that matters. Like Saxon said, he's like got no hobbies, no interests. He's like an empty shell of a person.
Right.
Yeah. All that other like the material goods and how what you think people think about you is like meaningless. It's like letting go of ego. It's all just so in the ego and it would be the ultimate irony is to reach some level of getting past that. Right. We're going to be okay. We have family. We love each other. We're and then have Lachlan kill himself, or Saxon kill him, or something. Last thing,
or maybe it's he gets caught in the crossfire and shot. I mean, maybe that's it too. But like, there's a death in the Ratliff family, and Timothy is all of a sudden like, oh my god, I've been thinking about killing myself. What a terrible idea! Like, what really matters is like being alive for my family, even if we're going to go through this hardship together.
Families survive.
That wouldn't surprise me.
So much worse. Like throughout world history, across every culture, then for the white collar crime, you go to white collar prison and play tennis with Madoff or somebody. It's like, no, it's not great. I don't want that, but you'll live. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, I know you got to run. Body.
Yeah, I got to run.
Prediction: who's the fucking floating body?
I'm gonna go with Lachlan.
Yeah, Damn it.
What about you? All right, that's great.
I just think it's Lachlan. I think his darkness is just whole. Yeah, I think whether intentional or accidental. Yep.
I think it's a member of the Ratliff family.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yep,
I really do.
Okay,
but we will see.
Great to have you back.
Where will you be Sunday? Where will you be Sunday watching it?
Right. Where will I be? I will still be in the mountains.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah. But I think we've got to be on the air Monday, first thing Monday.
Okay.
I think our legion of our growing fan base.
That's gonna be hard. I'm actually at a college tour Monday and flying back to Marin Monday night. So Monday could be hard for me.
I think you're gonna have to just cancel that college tour. Priorities.
Well, we'll see.
Trent.
We'll see. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do.
It's not going to change her odds of getting in, whether you do the tour.
I know that. I know that for sure. Oh my god.
Okay, we'll figure it out. Okay,
all right, man.
So you'll be on the road too. That's right. I forgot that's next weekend.
Yeah, right, I'll be in Madison, Wisconsin this weekend.
My,
State Street brats, baby. I hope I can taste food by then.
By the way, the State Street brat will just knock the taste right back into you. Okay.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, that is my ancestral homeland, as you know, and they say you can take the kid out of Wisconsin, you cannot the reverse.
But you can't take the brat out of the kid, so to speak. All right, my man. Well, have a great weekend. We'll talk soon. All right, bye.
You too. All right, man.